Imagine working day and night to build your dream idea, only to have your own boss steal it and claim it as his own. What would you do? Most people would quit. But me? I decided to make him regret ever crossing me. And trust me, he never saw it coming. My name's Tyler, and for as long as I could remember, I had one dream: to launch my own tech startup, something innovative, something that could really change the game. I spent years studying, working late nights, and brainstorming ideas. Finally, after months of sleepless nights, I developed a revolutionary app that would make small business management easier than ever before. I was young and naive, so I trusted my boss, Mr. Carter, the CEO of the company I was working for. When he asked to see my project, I thought he was proud of me. I thought he wanted to mentor me. But a few weeks later, I found out the truth. He stole my idea, patented it under his name, and launched it under the company's brand, completely cutting me out. I was devastated, furious, but mostly heartbroken. All the trust, all the faith I had in the people around me shattered in a single moment. I confronted Carter, but he laughed in my face, telling me it was just business. That's when I made a promise to myself. I was going to take him down, not by violence, not by playing dirty, but by beating him at his own game. I spent months working in secret, refining my original idea even better, creating a newer version with more features, a smoother interface, and stronger marketing strategies. I knew Carter was riding high on temporary success, but he was sloppy. He thought he had already won. I quit the company silently, with no drama, no lawsuits, nothing that would tip him off. I used the little savings I had to rent a small office, hired a few trusted friends who were also fed up with Carter's shady practices, and we began building from scratch. The nights were long, and the sacrifices were painful. I lost friends, sleep, and even family support because no one believed I could pull it off. But I kept going, fueled by the burning fire of betrayal. In less than a year, we launched. The app exploded in popularity. Customers loved it because it was truly designed with them in mind, unlike Carter's rushed and buggy version. Within months, we started eating away at his customer base. He tried to copy my features again, but this time, I had protected every inch of my work legally. I had become the competition he never expected and the nightmare he couldn't escape. And the best part? I wasn't even close to being done. The news that a brand new competitor was stealing his clients hit Carter like a freight train, and it wasn't long before he found out who was behind it. Me, Tyler, the guy he thought he had crushed and discarded like trash. The smug grin he wore when he stole my idea had long vanished. Now, panic was setting in, but being the arrogant man he was, Carter wasn't going to accept defeat easily. Instead of improving his own product, he chose the dirty route. One morning, I woke up to find a flurry of fake negative reviews on every platform where my app was listed. Claims of data theft, bugs, terrible customer service, all complete lies. At first, it worked. Some customers panicked and uninstalled the app. Our downloads dropped for a few days, and honestly, I felt the fear creeping in. But unlike before, I wasn't naive anymore. I documented every fake review, every false report, and quietly gathered evidence. Meanwhile, I doubled down on customer support. My team and I personally reached out to every customer affected, offering free upgrades, extra support, anything to rebuild trust. I didn't attack Carter publicly. I didn't go to the press. I let my actions speak louder. Within a month, our ratings bounced back even stronger. We became known not just for our product, but for our loyalty and care toward customers, something Carter's company sorely lacked. Furious that his smear campaign failed, Carter tried something even worse. He sent a lawyer to threaten me with a cease and desist letter, claiming that I had stolen his intellectual property. The irony made me laugh. You see, months ago, after he stole my original idea, I had learned my lesson. I had everything meticulously documented this time. Every update, every brainstorm session, every line of code. I had it all notarized, filed, and protected legally. When his lawyers came knocking, I handed over the paperwork without breaking a sweat. His case collapsed before it even began. That's when I realized I wasn't just beating him in business anymore. I was breaking him psychologically. Carter had always been the top dog, the one people feared, the one no one dared to cross. But now, he was losing control, and it was driving him insane. As my company grew, I started getting invited to conferences, giving talks, even mentoring young entrepreneurs. The same industry circles that once bowed to Carter were now looking up to me. I could see the jealousy eating him alive. But I wasn't done. I had one final move to make, one that would not just defeat him, but expose him for the fraud he was. Remember when I said I had trusted friends who left Carter's company to join me? Well, some of them had kept very detailed records of Carter's shady dealings, records that, if made public, would destroy his reputation forever. Bribery, fake financial reports, mistreatment of employees, it was all there. I didn't want to destroy someone just out of spite, but Carter had crossed too many lines, hurt too many people. It was time the world saw who he truly was. But again, I didn't go to the press myself. No, I sent the evidence anonymously to a few well-known investigative journalists, along with a simple note. You might want to look into Carter Enterprises. It didn't take long. Within weeks, a massive expose dropped. Headlines screamed about Carter's corruption, his empire built on lies. Lawsuits piled up. Clients dropped him overnight. His company stock crashed. He was investigated, fined, and publicly humiliated. Watching him try to deny it all on TV was almost sad, almost. But I didn't celebrate publicly. I didn't gloat. I just quietly expanded my business, offered jobs to people who had been mistreated by Carter, and kept building the empire he thought I would never have. In the end, Carter lost everything: his company, his reputation, even his freedom for a while when financial fraud charges stuck. And me? I became the man he had always feared, someone who didn't need to cheat or lie to win, someone who simply outsmarted him, outworked him, and most importantly, outlasted him. And trust me, nothing tasted sweeter than the victory he handed me himself when he decided to betray me. But the real revenge wasn't just taking him down. It was building the life he never thought I could have. And I was just getting started. The fall of Carter Enterprises wasn't just a news story, it was a spectacle. The man who once towered over everyone in the industry was now the poster child for corporate corruption. As Carter's empire crumbled, my company soared to heights I hadn't even dreamed possible. We expanded internationally, acquired smaller startups, and became a household name. Investors who had once laughed at my idea were now begging for meetings. I built a brand that stood for innovation, integrity, and resilience, everything Carter's company had pretended to be. And yet, even with all the success, a part of me knew the story wasn't finished. True revenge isn't just about taking away someone's power. It's about forcing them to confront the reality they tried so hard to deny. One evening, about a year after Carter's public downfall, I got an invitation to a major tech conference. It was the biggest one yet, the kind of event Carter used to headline before his disgrace. I was asked to be the keynote speaker. When I stepped onto that massive stage, standing in front of thousands of people and millions more watching online, it hit me. I had become what Carter always claimed he was but never truly was, a leader people actually respected. I gave a speech about innovation, resilience, and ethics in business. I didn't name-drop Carter, didn't mock him, didn't even mention the scandal. But every word was a dagger because everyone knew. The whispers, the nods, the side glances, they all knew the story behind my rise. Meanwhile, Carter had gone radio silent. Some said he was hiding out in another country, trying to escape the lawsuits. Others said he was broke, living in a rundown apartment, a shell of his former self. I didn't care enough to find out. My focus was on the future. But fate, as it always does, wasn't finished weaving its threads. About 6 months later, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Carter. His voice, once dripping with arrogance, now sounded small, almost pathetic. He asked to meet. Out of sheer curiosity and maybe, deep down, a need for final closure, I agreed. We met at a dingy coffee shop far from the city lights, far from the boardrooms and conference stages where we had once clashed. When I walked in, I barely recognized him. The tailored suits were gone, replaced by worn-out jeans and a jacket that hung loosely off his now thin frame. He looked like a man who had lost everything, and he had. We sat across from each other, the silence heavy. Finally, he spoke. He didn't apologize, not really. Narcissists rarely do. Instead, he blamed the system, the media, his disloyal employees. He even tried to suggest we partner up on a new venture, that we could rise from the ashes together. I almost laughed. The man still hadn't learned. He still thought he could manipulate his way back to power. I looked him dead in the eye and said calmly, I built everything you said I couldn't. Without you. Despite you. Because of you. Then I stood up, tossed a few bucks on the table for my coffee, and walked away. No screaming. No gloating. Just the quiet, absolute finality of a door slamming shut forever. That was the real revenge, not just destroying Carter's career, but forcing him to live with the knowledge that he had created his own downfall. As I left the coffee shop and stepped into the bright sunlight, I realized something even deeper. Revenge wasn't about staying angry. It wasn't about proving something to someone else. It was about proving something to yourself. That you could survive. That you could thrive. That you could turn betrayal into strength, pain into power, loss into legacy. Carter had taken my idea, my dreams, and tried to break me. Instead, he forged me into something unstoppable. And that's the greatest revenge of all, becoming everything they said you could never be. As my company continued to dominate the industry, I also made sure to build a culture of trust, support, and opportunity. I mentored young entrepreneurs, helped startups avoid the traps Carter had set for me. I built scholarships in my hometown. I turned my success into something that would outlast me, a true legacy, not just a pile of money. Carter, meanwhile, faded further into obscurity. Last I heard, he was trying to freelance in a completely unrelated field, desperately clinging to whatever scraps he could find. No one returned his calls. No one trusted his name. He became a ghost, a cautionary tale whispered about in business schools. And every time I stood on a stage, signed a deal, or watched my team celebrate a win, I remembered that coffee shop, that look in his eyes, the look of a man who realized too late that he had lost not just a battle, but the war for his own soul. That's what betrayal costs you. And that's what real revenge looks like. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more crazy true stories of karma and revenge, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next video.